You're listening to the Current Plays Podcast, Season 3, Episode 29, Food Chain Magnate. Now please welcome your hosts, Jordan and Thomas. And welcome back, hungry listeners. This week we are talking about Food Chain Magnate. You know what? I actually don't know who.
Splotter.
Yeah, Splotter, but who's the designer?
Yeah, true enough. Yeah.
Oddly enough, you never hear about the designer for this game. Should have been prepared. Uh,
I wonder, yeah, this one's a weird one. Is it a
I don't,
collection?
I don't know how to pronounce these names.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I apologize in advance. Jeroen Douman and Joris is probably not pronounced like a J, probably Joris or something.
Yeah.
Wersinga.
Nice.
I think it's a Polish company, so they're probably Polish names. So I apologize for butchering them. But anyway, and published by Splotter Games and Lucky Duck Games. This
Yes.
particular version. So yeah, if you are a frequent listener, we've been on a bit of a hiatus. Life got in the way for a bit there, and hopefully we'll be back to regular programming now. But yeah, we're gonna kick things off with Food Chain Magnate. We're hoping to have a Breakout Con
Mhm.
special episode soon. So stay tuned for that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Food Chain Magnate. We actually played this first at Breakout Con. So
We
we've
did.
had exactly
Yes.
two plays of this now.
Yeah. Liked it
Um,
so much that Jordan went out and picked up a copy. So, you know,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the deluxe edition too.
Which
Yeah.
I gotta say, it's the way to play it for sure.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
And not to derail already, but
Please
this,
do.
yeah, this one, like years, this one was on my list, and I just, at the price point it's at for let's say the original printing. So
Right.
Splotter is a company that they make. I want to say they make great games, but this is honestly the only one I know that they make. But I've heard they make other really good games, but they are known for making small production batches, right?
Right.
So their overall cost per unit is much higher, right? So you pay more for, this game than you typically would something of, equal workmanship, I suppose. And the caveat to this, I'm talking about the original version here. And then when you
Right.
look at the original version, it really almost looks like something that you could, you know, print and play copy almost, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, mind you, like, if I make a print and play, my print and plays aren't going to look as nice. But I've seen some people like, laminate stuff and do a really nice job of their print and plays and whatnot. I saw one of like Glory to Rome the other day that someone did artwork for and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. And you knew that they, you know, printed and play, made a print and play version, right? So this looks like a high quality print and play game, but is like, hundred or $150 for the base game, and then about $100 for the expansion as well. Um, and then you have this version, which is the more deluxe version, but makes everything so pretty and like
Yeah.
it keeps the essence and the theme of this game there with the 50s diner sort of artwork and aesthetic, but like turns it up a notch, right?
Yeah.
And then like adds layers of quality to it that yeah, if you can go this route, definitely go this route, right? Because it makes such it just adds to the immersion and the enjoyment of it, right?
I think so. I remember when we played the first time, we played like the original printing game,
Yes.
and just like a little thing like somebody was like, oh, I get cola or something or beer. And it's like, I was like, well, which one's cola? Which one's beer? I had no idea, right? Because
Yeah.
one's green, one's red, but they look exactly the same. Um, Whereas in this one, like it's very obvious
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
one's the cola, which one's the beer. Red is cola because it's supposed to be like Coke. Um, because nobody likes Pepsi. And I just alienated half of our
Yeah,
listeners. But
yeah, there
anyway,
we go. Canceled.
but actually, I remember when we were walking the streets of Toronto and we looked up a few images of the special edition or the deluxe edition,
Yeah.
and you were like iffy on the artwork, and you said you liked the original artwork better. How do you feel now that you've played
Now that
both
it,
editions?
now that I've played both, I definitely I like what they've done with the especially my biggest thing with the original is the tiles, right? And the
Yeah,
tiles are still kind of plain in the deluxe, but it went from like it went from looking like a print and play plain to like, okay, this is actually like a tile in a board game. Right, right. So
right.
like a good production, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, instead of flimsy paper, I'm pretty sure they're actual like tiles you're placing down, right? Like they're like a chonky cardboard kind of thing, right? So
yep, yep.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
added a lot of like the roads look like roads with
Yes.
texture and not just a thick black line with dashed white line down the middle, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, they added some texture to the uh, like empty. So each tile is made up of a bunch of squares. I think
Yeah.
it's 5 by 5, if I'm not mistaken. And most of those squares are empty because that's where you're going to build your restaurants, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Or put your whatever. So they added a little bit of texture on there, but not enough that it's busy, right? Enough that it's still, easy to see things.
Yeah,
They added, sorry, go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, no.
Well, they added the drink supplies, a little bit of artwork to that, so it's easy to identify. Oh, like what's lemonade, what's beer, what's
Yes.
cola.
Yeah.
The houses look pretty much the same, I think. Um,
I feel like they look better. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Maybe it's just because the overall,
yeah. I'm,
yeah, it
I'm
was
trying
an
to think
improvement.
now what
Yeah.
the other artwork was, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just yeah,
Yeah.
I really like it. And then the cards, right? So okay, there's just a couple things that I loved,
Yeah.
changes they made. So one thing, when we played the original version, you might laugh at me, but like it really bothered me that the Golden Duck Diner was blue, and then the Django Blues bar was green. And I'm like, why would you do that? And now, no, the Golden Duck Diner is yellow, Django Blues is blue. All is right with the world now, in
Well, I
my
just
eyes.
mean like if it was like if it was real life, if it was like real life too, and you saw that as a logo, and the colors, you'd be like, what are these guys doing? Like, come
Right?
on, like, right? So the
Well, like
fact that
who
it's like
didn't
that in the
catch
game,
that?
it's like, yeah, really blues and it's green and golden
Yeah,
and it's what was it, blue? Yeah,
blue.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah,
Um,
to mention like the we were talking about the artwork, yeah, that sort of thing too, like it, quite the contrast difference between one of the other games we looked at too was what was the shipping one called? Container,
oh, Container.
right? So
Yeah.
the container they had a recent like upgraded edition as well, and they went like a different route with the artwork,
Yeah.
and totally ruined the aesthetic, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
So like went from the like container, it looks dated. We played that one as well, and we'll talk about that next, on the special episode. But that one looks dated, but dated in almost like a good way, like you can like appreciate it. And then they got
Yeah.
away from that and went like, this makes no sense,
So
right?
funny
Right.
story. I sat down, like I went to Proto North
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
Toronto last fall, and Jeff Frazier, who now works for All Play, uh, who's doing the new version. He brought a copy, a prototype. Well, not a prototype, but like it hadn't released yet, but he brought a
Yes.
copy
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
game to play test, and that was everyone's comment. They hated the aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it. Like I get updating stuff, but sometimes you just got to be careful,
yeah,
right? And I feel like Food Chain Magnate did it the proper way, right? Like it kept the core of it and
yeah,
maybe updated it a bit. And yeah, initially for sure I might have been like, oh, I don't know, but like getting to play with it, yeah, it was like,
yeah,
yeah, but it's the same feeling. And then I feel like they took it like kind of a step beyond too, where they didn't waste a lot of space too. Like you pointed out the turn order track, so you flip it over, and instead of just being like a blank side, it's another turn order track with another different character on it. So if you prefer one
yeah,
character over the other, you can flip it over and
yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
that
Love
artwork,
it.
right? So yeah, cool,
And
cool little things.
in the original, like your CEO card, it just was like a starry
Generic, yeah, yeah,
circle that said CEO on it. Now it's like they're different characters. It's like 10 different CEO cards.
yeah,
It only
yeah.
plays up to six, but there's like 10 or more different CEO cards with different character artwork on it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you get to have a little bit of, personalization there by being like, oh, I want to be this CEO kind of thing, right? And I picked
Yeah,
the dude that looked like he was making like pizza dough, like the Italian kind of, yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was,
yeah,
yeah, I definitely like the upgrades, and even from just like you mentioned with the drinks, but it's not only like the differences in the drinks, the food was like food and drinks were okay in the original, where it was like it was in the shape of like drinks and burgers and pizza and whatever, right? This one had like actual like artwork printed on the wooden tokens, right?
yeah,
Which
like
which
heat
just
transfer.
yeah, which
Yeah,
added another layer to be like, oh, this is pretty, right? Yeah, yeah. It was cool with the with veggie meeples, as they might be called in uh, uh, uh,
yeah,
uh,
farming game.
yeah, yeah, farming
Yeah,
at the gates of Loyang.
Gates Lang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But with actual artwork on it, yeah, heat transfers on it, very cool.
yeah. So, what is this game all about? So, you
Yeah.
are. It's a highly strategic game of starting a restaurant and out competing your, you know, fellow restaurateurs. It's it looks simple, and to, to me, the game isn't complex, but it is very deep.
Yeah.
And yet on BGG, it has a weight rating of 4.19,
Wow,
which is
really?
maybe the heaviest game we've played.
That's so funny. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm planning on getting this out in a couple weekends with a big group of our
Hmm.
friends. We'll
Hmm.
see if that happens. And if it does, I wonder how they're going to take it. But anyway, so you lay out a randomized set of tiles, which forms the board, basically forms a map. And on this are roads of various configurations. Along there, you've got houses and you've got drink suppliers, and then a bunch of empty spaces. And so every time you play, the board is going to be completely different. And the roads, they're not all going to connect up. They're going to be in weird, wacky routes, right? but that's all part of it. That's all part of the strategy. So you, at the beginning of the game, everyone is going to one by one place their restaurants. And what you're trying to do is market food items. So in the base game, you've got burgers, pizza, lemonade, cola, and
Beer.
beer. And you're marketing these items to the houses that are out on the board. And then you are trying to supply that food that you're marketing to those houses. Now, everyone else is doing the same thing. So somebody starts a marketing campaign and the houses are numbered. So let's say house number two, it wants burgers and beer. It's going to go to the closest restaurant that can supply a burger and a beer, and for the best price. So the whole game is trying to outmaneuver your opponents. I'm saying that with air quotes because like you're not moving on the board, but based on where your restaurant is, which you can move your restaurant later in the game or open new restaurants. But you're basically, yeah, you're trying to strategically market to make houses want what you have to sell and cut out your opponents who perhaps can't supply certain items. And then if you can't do that, you can with cards, like with actions, adjust your prices so that maybe, you undercut your competition so that they come to you instead of them. There's a limited bank in the game, and so once you break the bank twice, then the game's over and you add up how much money you've made and whoever has the most money wins. So it's kind of that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're in order to market and produce the food and run your business, you're basically hiring employees. And these employees come in the form of cards, and the cards are your workers, but like really realistically, they're your actions. Now, the very cool thing about this game is that there are a bunch of milestones. So basically, if you are the first player to do something, you get like a bonus or a special power essentially. And it goes by turns. So, if multiple players do the same thing in a turn, then they'll all get that milestone. But then after that turn's over, nobody else can get that milestone. So there's a big strategic element to this where you're trying to get these milestones to give you advantages over your opponents. So, for example, if you are the first person to train somebody, you get a $15 discount on salaries at the end of the round. So, that gives you a huge early game advantage when you're not making much money. You can hire like the more advanced, cooks to make more food without having to pay their salary, right? Whereas everybody else has to sort of find money elsewhere before they can hire those cooks because then they're gonna have to pay for them, right? So it's very, very deeply strategic and unlike any other strategy game I've ever played.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a very yeah, just different game. And for an example of why, so you talk about the streets there. Our setup last night, we had one street on the left, and the streets do zigzags and they turn or whatever, right? But essentially, one street curved off to the left, and had three houses on it, and then didn't attach to the street on the right. And the street on the right had, I think, connected to one of the streets that was on the left, or one of the houses that was on the left, and then three other houses, right? So it was almost like a street of four and a street of three, right? But the street on the left with the less houses, had access to lemonade as well as beer, whereas the street on the right didn't have access to lemonade but had access to cola, right? So you had these kind of little bit of differences in the way the street was set up, and then depending on where you put your restaurant, what street you were attached to, it made a difference on like access to what drinks you had access to right off the bat, right?
Right.
And that's such an interesting thing because during this game, you were able to get these cart drivers that would go around to each of the basically locations to pick up drinks for you. So you could like draw in all these drinks, these the beer and the lemonade. You were bringing in like every time you passed one, two of each kind. So like it happened there was like two beer places on your route and a lemonade place, right? So you'd
Yeah.
pass it and you'd pick up two lemonade and four beer. And then where I had placed my house, I could get to the cola if I got a cart operator, but it wasn't he couldn't drive far enough to get to the beer unless I brought my restaurant closer, right? So I ended up having to go this route. Instead of getting the cart operators, I was getting these errand boys that just, you'd send off and they'd go grab a drink, whatever the drink was. So I could get lemonade that way, but not send the actual cart guy over to pick it up. So it became like a juggling of trying to get this lemonade to meet some demand when I didn't really have access to the lemonade, right? And then at some point you had done this big marketing campaign for lemonade, and then every house in the neighborhood, like that's all they wanted, right? They
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
we want lemonade. What's that? You have Coke? And other types of food? No, 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 no. Lemonade. Lemonade. Yeah. So it was like, okay, how do we produce
Yeah.
all this lemon, and both of us at that point were like, we can't actually produce this much lemonade. Like
I
that's a lot. Yeah.
yeah, I want to talk about this
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
so okay, Breakout Con, I did my research. I thought we were going up against a bunch of Food Chain Magnate veterans, right?
Yeah.
So I did my
Yeah.
research and okay, what opening strategy should I take, right? So we sit down, everyone's a newbie except for the guy teaching, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he's not, and he's like he decided to do some weird strategy just for the fun of it. And bless him, he was great. Um, so everyone just kind of did whatever he did at the beginning, and I went a different direction, and I like had a plan, and I crushed everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I was the
Thomas,
closest, and I was
yes.
like half your score.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
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 So I feel like you came in like to redeem yourself on this game.
Yeah.
And then looking back, so not at the time, but looking back, from my very first decision, I made the wrong one. So like where I decided to place my restaurant probably was not the optimal placement.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I was like, well, okay, but I want to like, market. I have easy access to this lemonade and lots of beer. So I'm going to market lemonade and beer on this side of the map, right on the left. You had more houses on the right and you had access to cola. So you started marketing cola over here. So then I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to market to this house on the left that you don't have access to because I was greedy and I wanted to put a garden in there. And what a garden does is it like doubles the price of your stuff. Don't ask me why that's the case. I guess if you have a garden, you're rich and you can pay more for burgers. But
Yeah.
but that's how it is. Uh, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to this other one, which was the house that was like shared between us.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
start marketing beer there. Well, then you immediately marketed there as well to mess with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, Well, I could market now burgers or something to these houses on the left that you have no access to, but I can't let you have all of these houses. I need to mess with your marketing over here. So then I start marketing on the right, even though I'm not selling on the right. And it's just, but no matter what I did, like you had a response for it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like and then I did this widespread lemonade campaign and then realized that I can't produce that much and you can produce just as much lemonade as I can. So, but if I had gone beer, I could have outproduced you. Like just
Yeah.
every decision I feel like was the wrong decision. But at the time, like it didn't feel that way, right? It wasn't until things played out. But it's so neat to look back and go, oh wow, if I had done this instead of that, at every step of the way, how different would this game have been?
This game really feels like it it relies so much on the pivots. Can you
Yeah,
pivot, right?
right.
Because I had a great thing with those Cokes. And then just the way the marketing works is that you go in kind of marketing order of whatever, marketing uh, phenomenon, whatever. Uh,
Different
They go,
campaigns.
yeah, whatever campaign, thank you. Whatever campaign, the campaigns will go in like numerical order based on a number that's on the token that you essentially set out as the marketing campaign, right? So
Yeah,
your lemonade stand happened to be the lemonade marketing radio signal was number one.
yeah,
And because you were the first to get a radio signal out with a marketing campaign on it, you got the milestone that all your radio ads were made double the demand. So now instead of just one lemonade demand, everybody's getting immediately two lemonade demand. So,
yeah.
and then each house can only have three demands on it, right? So, right off the bat, boom, 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 every house on the board, two lemonade, because it
Just
was
wants
number
it.
one.
Yep,
Nothing's undercutting that, right?
yep.
So, it was like, and then the most we could produce was like four lemonade each,
Yeah,
right? So, it was like,
so
okay.
dumb.
Yeah.
Such a dumb decision.
And then my Coke marketing campaign happened to be like 11, right? So it was like way down the line from 1 to 11. So like
Right.
there was a big chunk that I also had one for pizza that was like a 6 or something or a 5. And then so like those three houses that it hit were like, okay, those are pizzas, right? And then there was a few that were like, okay, burgers a 6, burger down here,
Yeah.
Coke was wiped off the map, right?
Yep.
The thing that I was like the best at producing because I switched the production to lemonade, but Coke was my jam. So like that was the thing was like that was the pivot thing going, okay, I can't make Coke anymore. I got to switch to lemonade and I got to do it
Right.
now, right?
Right.
Now I happen and luckily I had those cards to be able to do it. But if you don't have the cards, and this is where I could see people getting frustrated with it, but I feel like you just have to understand that like it's all part of the fun. Enjoy this
Yeah.
aspect of it, right? And that's that I really found this because then you did something like you put a new restaurant on the board, and that was a pivot moment that I had to make that actually had to take turns to get up. And everything is when you have to pivot, it's like, okay, I have to make this work in two turns. So this turn, I gotta hire people so that next turn I can do what you did the previous turn. I can still make money off that, right? So like when
Right.
you put that restaurant there, I was like, okay, I have to hire the right people now so that I can do the right stuff. And that was like, I don't know if we're gonna have different now you're producing pizza as well and you have your lemonade and you're gonna come in and undercut those guys before me because your restaurant's closer now. So then I was like, I have to like deeper discount, but then I also have to make sure that I have enough pizza and I only have like one pizza worker that's making one pizza a turn. So like I gotta train this person so that they can make three, and then I gotta pay them so that it was like,
Yeah.
okay, I gotta get the trainer out this time, and then I gotta hire this new person that I'm immediately gonna train into a pizza oven cook, and then next turn I gotta play them to get the pizza out. Right. So like that,
Yeah, it's
those are the
wild.
types of pivots that you're thinking about like, okay, I see this issue coming. And it even comes to a play where you're like, we were taking advantage of player turnover, turn order. So certain times I'd be like, I did something mid game that allowed me to essentially choose who went first. And I kept near the end of the game, I kept making you go because you kept doing whatever shenanigans. You had so many like employees at this time that I had to see how you were playing those employees and what you were doing so that I could like prep my next turn to in
Yes.
case. And there was a few times where you did something that was like I had a totally different plan, and now I got to switch that up because of how you reacted, right? I need more of these people. I need more of these people. I got to get ready to hire this person now, because the next turn, like even the next round, we ended up breaking the bank on one turn on this one turn, and it was right there to be like, okay, next round I'm hiring this to like, I was about to hire like this deep discount person just because I was like, I'm not going to be able to keep up with your production. So I have to basically give all this food away for like half price just so I can take that from you so you wouldn't get them kind of thing, right?
Right, right.
Uh, yeah,
But
and then we ended up breaking the bank and the game was over. But yeah, those are the types of like pivots that you're always thinking about.
and you seemed to be able to, like I said, like you came in here to redeem yourself
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was like every you made some moves that really messed up my plans, and but at the same time you got an early tempo lead,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
then I spent the rest of the game trying to interrupt your tempo, but I couldn't get my own tempo up fast enough, right? And everything that I tried to do, like you had an answer for it. Maybe not the next turn, but certainly the turn after that.
Yeah, yeah,
And by the time I finally was like actually starting to make money, you were making just as much,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you were already well ahead. And then I think you were twice my score this game, right? So
yeah. And that was interesting too, right? Because like I got a few early turns that were like, bringing in 30, $39, something like that, a turn. And then that 39 turned into like 80, and then that 80 turned into 100, and then it was like 100, and I think my final turn was 117, which was my highest income. But your
yeah,
last turn was 120. So you outpaced me for money on that last turn, and it likely would have happened again by a farther margin than next turn had there been more money in the bank at that point, right? Because at that
right,
point
right.
it was like I was under damage control big time because you were starting to take over the board, right? So and it was going to be a few turns before I could pivot as much as I needed to. I needed to get another restaurant is what I needed to do on the board to counteract how close you were to some of the locations, so the houses. Yeah, yeah. Very neat. Very, very fun game. Like,
Yeah. And yeah, like you were saying, uh, so you got an early lead, right? And you stayed ahead the whole game. But I never felt like, and this is a big complaint about this game, is people say, "Oh, well, it's obvious who's going to win turn 3 and then you have to sit there for how many hours to keep." But like I never felt that way. I
no,
always felt
no.
like, "Okay, I'm behind. What can I do to mess with him?" Right?
Hmm, hmm.
What can I do to bring myself ahead, or mess with Thomas? And like, okay, I'll try this, I'll try that. And like it didn't work out, but it was fun to try, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it put me on my toes. And if I made the wrong calls, it easily could have turned out the opposite way, right? Yeah, your
Yeah.
plans could have worked out and knocked me out of the, the first place or whatever, right? Um, and that's all it was. I happened to be able to kind of like pivot enough that I could take advantage of, especially the lemonade one was a huge one, right? Because like I said, it wiped out entire markets that I had set up that I was
Yeah.
like, I'm the only one benefiting on this side of the board. And then all of a sudden, all the demand is lemonade. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and honestly, like that, so I had these errand boys that got two lemonade per turn. When you did that take over the marketing, I only had one errand boy, but because you play went first, I saw that and I was like, this turn I'm hiring another errand boy because I need two to produce four in order to
Yeah.
at least do two houses kind of thing, right?
And the only reason you could make two on your errand boys is because you got the milestone, right? So
Yes.
normally errand boys are only one, and the cart operators get two. So you're like right away outpacing on the production. But because you got the milestone, I couldn't outpace you on the production. So
Yeah.
in the last
No.
turn, I did upgrade to a truck driver who gets three, but then the game was over.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it
And then
was
even with that, like it's you produce all these goods, these food and food items or whatever, and then if you don't use them, they all go in the garbage.
yeah.
Okay. But if you're the first one to trash resources, that's a milestone, and you get a fridge and for the rest of the game, and that fridge now can hold whatever resources in it. Right. So
Yeah, up
anything
to
you don't
10.
use up to 10. Okay. Anything you
Yeah.
don't use up to 10, you throw
Yeah.
into the fridge, and then you could draw from that on a later turn, right? So
Which is neat because you could like produce a bunch of stuff one turn and then a different thing the next turn, and you can kind of alternate, right?
yeah, yeah.
But keep a consistent um meet demand consistently because you're drawing out of this fridge.
Yeah, yeah. And we saw a perfect example of that. Like, I had that Coke going on. I had two houses getting Coke. Well, I could only produce two Coke, right? So there was an off turn that I was able to produce beer, and um you made a demand for beer on one house that I was connected to. So it was like, okay, I have the Coke. I put the beer in the fridge, and then it was two turns that I was able to just pull this beer from the fridge to meet that demand. And then I was out of beer and I couldn't produce it anymore because I was too
Yeah.
busy producing for the Coke, right?
But then that
But
was enough. Like that's all you
that was
needed
enough.
were
Yeah, I
those
just
two
needed the
turns.
two, and then it got another demand, and I couldn't meet the
Yeah.
the burger and the beer demand, right? So yeah.
Because I saw that happening and I was like, okay, now I need to, like I said, I need to market something to mess with what
Hmm.
you had
Hmm.
going on. But it took those two turns to pull that off because I had to hire a marketing trainee and then train them up to be able to do a different type of campaign, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
those two turns it took me, well, you had them covered. So it's like, oh,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
it's just, yeah, it was just slight right place, right time, get a few bits of money, and then that money you could use to, hopefully push you farther ahead, right? Or at least because you're aiming to break the bank a bit, and then you got to break it again, right? So the quicker you can get to that second, the quicker you can like almost
yeah,
rush the end. But you
yeah,
never know
yeah,
what the end's going to be, so it's
yeah.
yeah, just a great game. Yeah, so much
It
fun.
this is we say this about a lot of games, but this is one that would benefit from like repeat plays, and I would love to get this one out more and more and more.
I don't even think I
We'll
get bored
see.
of this one either. Like I could play this all the time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's that good, right?
And that wraps up another episode of the Current Plays podcast. Check us out next week on YouTube or your favorite podcast provider. But until then, good gaming and good night.
Good night, folks.